Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan, I'm a former commando from the UK. Today is the 17th of October and we've got another update for Ukraine for you guys. Now I've noticed the maps that we are using seem to have ceased updating themselves as of the 15th. So we've missed a few days ourselves, so it's rather good timing really, to be honest with you, to do a bit of a catch up on things and see where we're at. But first things first, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you like this content, guys, drop a comment below, let me know, and I'd like to hear your opinion on things. But let's get straight into an Institute of Study of War campaign assessment from the October the 15th, because there's quite a few bits of information in here that I want to go over, guys. So let's get cracking, shall we? Now, Russia continues to conduct massive forced deportations of Ukrainians that likely amount to a deliberate ethnic cleansing campaign, in addition to apparent violations of the Convention of the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. So these violations of conventions and stuff, we actually see it more times enough in wartime, okay? Now, just because it's war doesn't mean to say that there isn't rules. There is rules, and some countries like to abide by them, other countries not so much, okay? And it's normally the guys who abide by those rules, those conventions. I'm talking about the Geneva Conventions specifically. Actually, those are the ones who tend to suffer the most, because, you know, you're restricted by the rules of war, and when someone's not playing fair game, it's actually quite difficult for you to counteract that. We've seen that in Afghanistan, okay? Rules of war didn't apply in Afghanistan, and you know, the British troops, the American troops, and the other supporting troops were actually hindered greatly by that, because they actually had codes of conduct and rules and regulations to follow, fighting someone who didn't care less. It's like going into the boxing gym, the boxing ring, with gloves on, and the other person refuses to put gloves on. He's using bare knuckles on your face. It's like, you know, there's going to be a bit of a mismatch here. So although it's slightly different in terms of the violations and the conventions that we're talking about, the mentality is the same. And regardless of the country, some countries don't seem to like to follow these conventions, okay? But it's the way it goes. Now, Russian Deputy Prime Minister Marat Kherson stated on October the 14th that several thousand children from Kherson Oblast are already in other regions of Russia. Wow. I mean, this is the bit where it gets me, because it's you know, I'm a father myself, children, stuff like that. It's these people, they're getting shipped out there, and if it is an ethnic cleansing program, we can, oh god, it's horrendous really to even think what's going on over there, guys. My thoughts go out to everyone. Now, the resting in rest homes and children's camps. Again, the potential for abuse there is going to be through the roof, guys. You're going to have kids who are absolutely terrified of this situation, not knowing what the bloody hell's going on. It's heartbreaking. An Institute of Study of War has previously reported Russian authorities openly admitted to placing children from occupied areas of Ukraine up for adoption with Russian families in a manner that may constitute a violation of the Convention of Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. So they've already admitted that they're placing kids from Ukraine up for adoption with Russian families. Yeah, I mean, we need a little bit more context behind the kids. Is it the kids who are a product of you know, what's the word I'm looking for? The product of the families being, you know, killed in war, the collateral damage, so to speak, that can take place within wartime. Is that what we're talking about here? We're not just talking kids from random homes being snatched and then took to Russia, are we? I would like to think it's not that. If it is, it's even worse than previously anticipated. But yeah, I mean, in the sense in me says that it's probably going to be that, but if anyone knows anything more to that, please let me know. But I'm thinking it can't just be random kids from Kherson, all right? Or it's got to be those who are product of being displaced through, you know, the collateral damage that takes place in war. That's what I would like to think. It still doesn't make it a good thing, but that's what I'm thinking anyway. Now, Russian authorities may additionally be engaged in a wider campaign of ethnic cleansing by depopulating Ukraine territory through deportation and repopulating Ukrainian cities with imported Russian citizens. Ethnic cleansing is not in itself being specified as a crime under international law, but has been defined by the United Nations Commission of Experts on Violations of Humanitarian Law committed on the territory of former Yugoslavia, as rendering an area ethnically homogeneous by using force or intimidation to remove persons of given groups from that area, and purposely designed by one ethnic or religious group to remove by violent and terror-inspiring means the civilian population of another ethnic or religious group from certain geographic areas. So, based on that terminology right there, yeah, it is. You could say it's a form of ethnic cleansing. Now, the problem here is it doesn't fall under a specific crime under international law. So what can people do about it? If it was a crime under international law, then, the UN Commission could probably be able to give a little bit more support with regards sending troops in from different areas non-specified to this area. So it's the law is key here, and it's based on that information there, it does seem like that's what's taking place in some of the areas, which is absolutely heartbreaking, guys, to say the least. Now, according to the United Nations definition, ethnic cleansing may be carried out by forcible removal, among other methods. These definitions of ethnic cleansing campaigns are consistent with reports of the forcible deportation and adoption of Ukrainian children, as well as reports by Ukrainian sources that reconstruction projects in Mariupol are intended to house tens of thousands of Russians who will move to Mariupol. It's the children bit that gets me. This is not really spoken about an awful lot. Honestly, that gets me. That it's because I've got a child myself, one on the way. This is the true sufferers in truth, and I don't mean this the wrong way. To hell with the adults with the problems. It's the children who matter in this situation. Okay, adults have at least had the beauty of living somewhat. I don't know. It's you know what I'm saying. I don't want to upset anyone in particular, but it's like it's the kids who's going to be scarred for life. This whole cycle of war, then these children, some of them will grow up to be adults, and they'll end up hating certain groups of people, all because of this war. And the cycle continues. You get these disgruntled generation of individuals who have a hatred towards people, and then these certain acts take place against these individuals, and that's what we've seen in the Middle East for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Guess what? The kids who were suffering in war, some of them grow up to be very angry individual adults, and they're prepared to retaliate on matters that were carried out upon them 20, 30 years ago. We see that all the time. So this is why it's so important to get this right with the kids, and they're the true sufferers of this whole thing, in my personal opinion. But yeah, I mean, let's have a I don't know how to even digest that, guys. Now, prominent Russian military bloggers who yesterday announced the existence of hit list reportedly originating with the Ministry of Defense, Russian Ministry of Defense, and targeting military bloggers for their coverage of operations in Ukraine walked back their claim on October the 15th. Right. So prominent Russian military bloggers who yesterday announced the existence of hit lists reportedly originating with Russian Ministry of Defense and targeting military bloggers for their coverage of operations in Ukraine walked back their claim. That's extremely worrying on a personal level, actually. That's taking me back a bit. An Institute Study of War reported on October the 14th, prominent Russian military blogger Semyon of the War Gonzo Telegram channel accused individual generals and military commanders of the Russian Ministry of Defense of developing a hit list of Russian military bloggers whom the Ministry of Defense intends to prosecute for discrediting the MOD's handling of the war in Ukraine. Pegov's claim was amplified by several other military bloggers and generated substantial panic about censorship in the hyper-nationalist Russian information sphere. Wow, so they're starting to hit the guys who are covering the war in a similar fashion to what I'm doing. They're just doing it in a more sophisticated, generalized manner. Guys, once you start censoring people's speech on topics as such, regardless of what country you're pertaining to, even if you're talking about your own country, that's when problems occur massively. Okay, there's always been problems with freedom of speech in times like these. But if Russia is and have no reason to disbelieve what they're saying, a hit list to kind of counteract the military bloggers who are talking effectively on the war within Russia, then they're going to have massive problems with their country, backlash from the people, because people will get sick once you start restricting freedom of speech, that's for sure. But it hits home a little bit, because I've been thinking about this, although I'm just commentating on this war, a useless pawn on the chessboard, so to speak. If this stuff starts happening globally, then we've got a lot of problems, guys, okay? And, it's censorship, isn't it, really? Now, Peganov announced on October 15th, however, that there are no more lists and that the issue of lists has been removed from the agenda, and congratulated his following and wider community for being untouchable in the face of attempted crackdowns. Pegov also retired that he has been aware of the list for weeks and knew that administrative and political power structures had already begun work on investigations on the individual channels. Pegov claimed that he has learned who the author of the list was and praised his followers and colleagues for supporting him. Other prominent bloggers amplified his statements and stated that other bloggers continued to lead the fight for truth in the information space. Guys, I couldn't have said it better myself. The information space is it has to be a free space first and foremost. It has to be free for all to digest if and when you want to digest it. Once it starts being taken away, censored, closed down by individuals, you wouldn't have this. I mean, guess what? We are just doing a little bit of a service to the country of Ukraine. We think that it's wrong. I think that it's wrong, the invasion over there, just on a moral standpoint. I'm not getting into the politics of things. I'm not going to do that. I'll have a neutral standpoint on that politically. Russia, Ukraine, yeah, whatever. I'm looking at the moral standpoint, the people who's affected on the ground, the Ukraine civilians, the Russian civilians, the Ukraine troops, the Russian troops. They're all in it. They're all part of this horrendous war game, and lives are being lost. So I feel sorry for both sides in that respect, guys. Do you understand? So yeah, bit of information there about the ethnic cleansing program that's allegedly happening in certain areas of Kherson Oblast, and the kids that have been transported and rehomed. Yeah, that breaks my heart a bit. Actually, it's that's the true cost of this. Forget everything else. That's the true cost of this whole bloody mess, guys. Okay, and the censorship of free speech on guys who are commenting on these on these atrocities. Okay, I think it needs to continue. But troops, slightly different video today. We haven't really done a map study because it hasn't been updated since the 15th. So I don't know if there's a problem with the deep state map. If there is and you know of it, let me know in the comments, guys. But if you want to see more videos like this, please continue to support the channel. We need the views to continue. And yeah, guys, I'll see you in the next one very, very soon. Peace.